Well, it's a beautiful thing. I appreciate y'all giving us your time. It's like heroic.
Oh, thanks.
I got a family. I'm a single father of 6.
Then it's kind of obvious that you wouldn't be doing any of these horrible things, right? Correct?
Yeah, he did it.
That isn't true. P. Diddy, come on. Say something. This is messed up.
It all began with a startling discovery. During a contentious debate, Musk and Rogan go deeply into the charges against Diddy's empire, covering everything from alleged extortion to manipulation inside the music industry. P. Diddy's dark secrets are now coming to light. Joe Rogan criticizes the elite in Hollywood. I believe I messed up, but you're okay, P. Did you get to music? Go. Whose idea was it to invite P. Diddy on here? Are you a fan of his? As the conversation becomes heated, Musk makes the bold decision to take on Diddy's inner circle. When Musk fires employees who are accused of aiding Diddy and concealing his wrongdoings, the industry rocks. The once untouchable mogul now appears to be a man on edge, and yes, you will have plenty of time to visit him in jail because you are fired. Don't drop the soap opera. P. Diddy, yes, but why does this bottle claim that it was she by P. Diddy? I'm feeling a little sleepy. Rogan, however, presents a straightforward analysis of the whole matter. He says in a disbelieving tone, how much of this do we really not know? The two seem to be working together to solve the mystery, raising concerns about how Hollywood's elite supports these kinds of people. It all comes down to secrets and power. For the record, yes, that is an endorsement of Trump. Enjoy the podcast, let's watch, and thank you so much for purchasing Twitter. Musk continues to push forward with his mission to expose the dark side of the entertainment industry. He makes what I believe is the strongest case for Trump you will ever hear, and I agree with him at every turn. You altered the path of history. We were on a route towards censorship and narrative control in an instant, and I really believe that you placed a fork in the road. Starting a podcast discussion, Joe Rogan openly said that he backed Donald Trump. Rogan said that after hearing Elon Musk's comments, he thought they were the strongest defense of Trump he had ever heard. According to Rogan, Musk's viewpoint is precisely what the nation needs at this time, and he supports Trump's ideas wholeheartedly. Support was evident. Rogan is supporting Trump, which is unprecedented. You should also consider what they were able to accomplish when they controlled the media and newspapers, when they suppressed information on social media, and when the government worked together, as in the case of the laptop story. Twitter cooperated, so why do you have 51 former intelligence officers claiming that this is Russian misinformation? We wouldn't have known if you hadn't purchased it. Joe Rogan, the well-known podcast host and commentator, has recently garnered attention for his somewhat awkward and clumsy expressions of gratitude toward Elon Musk, especially regarding Musk's high-profile acquisition of Twitter. Rogan's praise for Musk's intervention in the world of social media censorship reveals an underlying shift in both his personal views and broader cultural dynamics. The conversation between the two men delved into various aspects of this transformation, with Rogan emphasizing how Musk's purchase of Twitter marked a historic turning point for the social media landscape. This shift, according to Rogan, has not only altered the platform itself, but also had far-reaching implications on the flow of information and political discourse worldwide. Rogan's comments reflected a strong belief that Musk's acquisition of Twitter represented a pivotal moment in history. He pointed out that before Musk took over, social media platforms, including Twitter, were largely shaped by government influence and corporate interests, often leading to heavy censorship and restricted speech. In Rogan's view, Musk's decision to take Twitter private and overhaul its content policies disrupted the status quo and allowed for more open, free-flowing discourse. According to him, without Musk's intervention, the public might never have been exposed to crucial information, including the controversial Hunter Biden laptop story, which had been suppressed by major media outlets and tech platforms during the 2020 presidential election. Rogan further elaborated on how the government's attempts to control narratives on social media platforms had sparked significant backlash, particularly from figures who were traditionally aligned with the political left. He explained how the censorship policies put in place during the COVID-19 pandemic, along with the broader efforts to regulate content, pushed many individuals, himself included, toward more conservative viewpoints. Rogan, once associated with left-wing ideals, expressed a growing sense of disillusionment with what he saw as a wave of censorship that stifled free speech and open debate. This environment, he argued, led to a shift in his own political leanings, with many individuals from diverse backgrounds finding themselves questioning their previous stances in light of the suppression of information they believed to be vital. At the heart of this narrative is Rogan's admission that his own ideological shift was influenced not just by his personal observations, but by the broader cultural and political environment surrounding social media censorship. This shift was not unique to him, it was part of a larger trend where many former left-leaning commentators, intellectuals, and public figures found themselves increasingly alienated by the growing power of big tech companies and the government's involvement in policing online discourse. Musk's purchase of Twitter, according to Rogan, was one of the catalysts that enabled many of these figures to reconsider their positions and advocate for more robust protections of free speech and transparency in digital spaces. This perspective also highlights an intriguing paradox in the evolution of both Rogan's career and his political affiliations. For years, Rogan had hosted a range of guests from different political backgrounds, including Bernie Sanders, with whom he shared a notably positive rapport. Though Rogan never explicitly endorsed Sanders, his supportive comments about the Vermont senator revealed his previously more liberal inclinations. However, the extreme censorship that characterized social media during the pandemic, combined with growing concerns over governmental overreach, has led Rogan and others to pivot in their views. In many ways, this ideological shift exemplifies a broader realignment that has occurred across public discourse, particularly among those who were once staunch defenders of liberal values, but now see those values as being undermined by the very institutions that were supposed to protect them. Rogan and Musk's conversation also touched upon the rise of alternative media voices who have increasingly spoken out against censorship. Many of these voices, like Rogan, have found themselves leaning toward the right after feeling alienated by the tactics used to suppress free speech. Whether it's the political influence of big tech companies, the suppression of inconvenient truths, or the increasing polarization of social media platforms, this growing discontent has fueled a movement that values open dialogue over political correctness. Musk's commitment to free speech and his decision to reform Twitter have resonated with many of these commentators, marking a turning point in the broader battle for control over digital platforms and the information they carry. Ultimately, Joe Rogan's public remarks serve as a reflection of larger shifts in both his personal ideology and the cultural forces at play in today's media landscape. His awkward yet sincere praise for Musk's acquisition of Twitter is an acknowledgement of how the censorship battles of recent years have forced many to reassess their political and philosophical stances. While Rogan's position may appear uncomfortable at times, his sentiments underscore a fundamental truth about the evolving nature of public discourse and the role of social media in shaping modern political landscapes. I never believed that he was ever a progressive. I believed that he was getting involved in that primary because he had a plan. You know, I believe that many people on the right wanted to see Hillary Clinton challenge Donald Trump because, to be honest, Bernie Sanders could have defeated Donald Trump. Another was COVID and feeling deceived by experts, sources of authority, and information from Democratic sources, which has pushed them to the right to the point where he is now supporting Donald Trump and praising Elon Musk. It is evident that Rogan's opinions have changed over time. Previously regarded as an independent voice, Rogan now supports Trump's cultural conservatism. He admitted that social media censorship, particularly during the pandemic, influenced his current position. He found enormous resonance in Musk's fearless opposition to cancel culture and the repression of free speech. You must know them, right? Reid Hoffman was my vice president of business development at PayPal 24 years ago. Does he appear anxious to you? Indeed, I believe that he is afraid of Trump winning because of the revelation that would ensue. He is undoubtedly not in agreement with Trump's ideology, but I believe that he is worried about the FC situation, as if the DOJ might actually take action. Elon Musk discussed the dread and power that lurked behind the political scenes, particularly if Trump were to win again. He also alluded to the imminence of a significant public revelation that might reveal powerful. According to billionaires with direct ties to Epstein and Diddy, Musk's criminal underworld, some of these influential people are really terrified that this truth will come to light because it might have serious consequences. It seems that those rooms on the island and I believe out in New Mexico were wired for video. Where is the video? Between Daddy and Eppin, there are likely thousands of hours of film here. It's strange that the folks on those. It's strange that videos lecturing the rest of us about our moral shortcomings, isn't it? I mean, part of the way they divert attention from themselves is by disparaging the morality of others. Musk spoke on the notion that some of the billionaires supporting Kamala Harris's campaign are deliberately afraid of the disclosures that would surface in the event that Trump wins. He brought up people like Bill Gates and Reid Hoffman, who are apparently trembling at the prospect of the public discovering how they relate to a possible dark truth. It's kind of like a preemptive moral strike because these connections, according to Musk, are not just political, they may also involve shady dealings connected to Epstein's world. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that those who claim that Trump poses a threat to democracy are actually the ones who pose that threat. It feels like we're approaching a point where everyone knows too much. And you know what I mean? It's easier to live in a The conversation took a darker turn when Musk disclosed that Epstein and Diddy may have recorded a vast collection of videos, possibly thousands of hours of footage. These tapes, which were allegedly filmed in New Mexico and on Epstein's private island, may hold the secrets to revealing Hollywood's darkest secrets. This is a society where you don't really know what the people in charge are doing or why they're doing it, but thanks, I would say, largely to Musk. There's a peculiar irony in the way certain individuals, deeply enmeshed in scandals, continue to present themselves as moral arbiters to the public. It's baffling, almost surreal, that the very people embroiled in some of the most controversial events are the ones who frequently offer their opinions on what's right and wrong, attempting to lecture others on ethics. This contradiction was further highlighted recently when another individual, an attendee of one of Diddy's notorious parties, appeared in the spotlight. The incident sparked a wave of questions, with many wondering, what does Elon Musk know? Could it be that nearly everyone backing Kamala Harris at the moment is linked to these extravagant and often shady Diddy gatherings? If true, the implication would be staggering, raising serious questions about the nature of these high-profile political events. However, fans were quick to call Musk out on his own past associations. They reminded him that he too had spent time with Diddy, which complicated his stance. His history with the entertainment mogul was no secret, and this public reminder added a layer of irony to Musk's remarks. Despite his recent critiques of Diddy's circle, Musk's connection to the same circle seemed to undermine his criticisms, making his statements feel less like an expose and more like a strategic jab at others, somewhat hypocritical considering his own past associations. When discussing Eminem's involvement in Diddy's controversial parties, Musk didn't hold back. He made pointed references to the rapper's upcoming participation in a Kamala Harris rally in Detroit, insinuating that Eminem was part of the same social circles, filled with individuals who had a history of questionable associations. Musk seemed to suggest that a significant portion of the celebrities backing Kamala Harris were, in fact, tied to this exclusive, often dubious group of elites. It raised a question that lingered in the air: is there a hidden agenda behind these celebrity-filled political events? Could these figures, whose pasts are interwoven with controversial figures and shady gatherings, have ulterior motives in supporting certain political causes? This revelation, whether intentional or not, seemed to suggest something much larger at play, something more complicated than what the public was being led to believe. If so many key players in politics and entertainment are linked by these parties and their associations, what does that say about the true power dynamics shaping political movements? It's one thing for the public to consume these events as simply celebrity endorsements, but could there be more beneath the surface? Musk's insinuation didn't stop at questioning just Eminem. It was a broader commentary on the types of individuals who are allowed to shape political discourse, given their involvement in such circles. Speaking of Diddy's infamous parties, one must delve deeper into the history of these gatherings, as they are not just a backdrop to celebrity culture but also tied to numerous scandals. A notable example dates back to 1999, when Jennifer Lopez and Puff Daddy, then known as Puff Daddy, now Diddy, found themselves involved in a nightclub shooting incident in Manhattan. Along with Puff's bodyguard and rapper Shine, Lopez and Diddy attended the club, which quickly became the scene of a chaotic and dangerous altercation. 3 people were shot, and one of the victims, a woman named Natana Rubin, publicly accused Puff Daddy of being the one who shot her. These events, though years behind them, still haunt the public perception of both Diddy and those around him. Rubin's accusations resurfaced years later, reigniting the conversation about the shady dealings and violent incidents tied to Diddy's inner circle. This incident is just one example of the type of controversial behavior associated with these infamous parties. Over time, these events have become emblematic of a certain type of celebrity culture, one that thrives on exclusivity, excess, and often secrecy. The fallout from such incidents doesn't simply disappear, it lingers, shaping the reputation of those involved for years to come. And yet, these very same figures, who have often been caught in webs of scandal and controversy, continue to use their platform and influence to shape public opinion, leading many to wonder about their true motivations. As we reflect on these figures and their involvement in both celebrity culture and politics, it's clear that the lines between these worlds are increasingly blurred. The parties, the political endorsements, the questionable associations, all of these elements feed into a larger narrative about power, influence, and the roles these public figures play in shaping our collective consciousness. In the end, the question remains: what is the real agenda behind these alliances, and what are we, the public, truly being shown? It becomes clear that these figures' histories are complex as we learn more. These charges are currently pending, but J.Lo was present in the car and she was dating him at the time. He produced her amazing album on the 6th, so don't tell me you don't like it. I'm sorry, but it was fantastic. She was detained by the police for 14 hours while handcuffed to a bench in a Midtown police precinct. He was charged, but he was later acquitted. You know who does go to jail? The rapper Shine, whose name is Jamal Barrow. He was found guilty of 5 charges, including possession of a weapon, and served 9 years, but no one ever did any time or was found guilty of the actual shooting in 2011, and years later, according to Reuters, Puff settles a lawsuit with all three parties, including Rubin, who was shot during that incident, for an undisclosed sum. Yes, so Natana Rubin is aware of something, and J-Lo is aware of something as well. However, given her previous relationship with Diddy, one of the most talked about celebrity couples in the late 1990s, their relationship continues to be a source of public fascination, while Jennifer Lopez has not discussed Diddy's current legal troubles or any secrets she may be aware of in public. Their previous relationship was characterized by ups and downs. All Jennifer Lopez needed to do was wet a white boy, an Oscar winner, for people to forget that she carried a gun in her pocket. She also had gunshot residue on her hands the night Natana was shot at that club. We could assume that the bullet came from the gun she was holding. She has never advocated for the woman's betterment. She gave money to her family or to cover her ongoing medical expenses. Jaguar Wright explains Jennifer Lopez's silence on Diddy's demise, implying that there is more to the tale than first seems, since Diddy is dealing with significant legal problems. J-Lo's decision to remain silent encourages interest and conjecture.